Content warning: the stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana with me, Blair.
And Alana, me. I think I said that
Oh,
backwards.
we did it. We made it. We made it to launch week. It is January 21st.
Yeah.
We just survived Blue Monday, which is actually just a myth, but it's a holiday where, companies glob onto it. And, if you believe Blue Monday exists, we're here to help you through it. This week, there is a new president taking, is it office? Taking office in America?
Right. Yeah.
We're Canadian, so
Yeah. What do they call it? Call it inauguration?
oh, the
It has just
inauguration.
happened.
And right now, if you head to Amazon, you may notice that Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 2 is now available.
So exciting.
Woo! Like it's what's super cool about this is well, like this is not how it all started, right? Like it wasn't like let's publish anthologies, let's create
Hmm.
a book series. It was simply, in 2019 starting a book to honor the legacy of our father, to share our story of his addiction, my forgiveness of him, and our resilience. And since then, I've published my own book, which was a practice book to learn how to write a book. And I know, like, overly ambitious. We published The Global Resilience Project, which was the first book and intended to be the only book. We became a global movement we had Radical Resilience, which still exists, which is a podcast. Now we have this podcast. We have a clothing line. We became a social enterprise, motivational speaking, writing. You and I are collaborating and doing all these cool things.
Yeah.
Then we published another book, Resilient AF Stories of Resilience. So, what's cool is that the first book, the Global Resilience Project, that took 3.5 years to come out because people kept dying. Like,
Yeah. There
like
was a lot of death.
there's a lot of death, and um, it's really hard to hold space for people, when you're just trying to survive. And I wasn't sure if we were going to do another book. But
Hmm.
then mom came to me in a dream and I was getting ready to publish a second book. And so within a year, this book was ready. And Resilient AF Stories of Resilience came out March 2024. And as soon as it came out, people were like, whoa, how do I get in your next book? And so we opened up submissions and it took 10 months. I'm
Yeah.
bad at math. 10 months, less than a year. So we went from like the first book taking 3.5 years to under a year to get out a book, which tells me people have stories they want to share.
And everyone deserves to share their story.
Yeah, they do. It's really, really interesting. And, I think like I do believe everyone deserves to tell their stories. Some people want to remain anonymous. You don't have to have your name shared. You don't have to have your photo shared. What we do is we create this safe space for people to share their stories. And, our first book had close to 70 stories and, the last book and the book that's out now around 50 stories. And what's really cool is that we have authors who are in like one of our first or second book who are now coming and sharing their story again in this book or our future books. We're doing
Hmm.
Resilient AF Skin Deep Stories. And, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I want to be involved, if you have a story to tell with a tattoo that goes along with it, that's a good book for you. We have volume 3, which is going to come out in 26. And like we've created the space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting, if you're new here, hey, welcome. Um, if you've been following along for a while, like cool, thanks for staying. You may notice a few episodes ago we interviewed Joe Exotic, right? The Tiger
Mm,
King, Joe. And
right.
that was a kind of controversial because people are like, Blair, are you sure you want to be associated with him? And my
Mm.
answer is he has a story he wants to tell. Who am I to determine if his story is worth sharing or not? Because we're all humans just making our way through life.
That's very true. Very, very true.
Yeah. And and it's interesting because like not oh, my Siri's talking to me. She says, "Mm-hmm."
I love when Siri validates me.
I share in the first book, I shared a few stories. Last book and this book, I've shared a story. Alana's yet to share, but maybe she's actually going to share in Skin Deep Stories.
Yes, yes. Stay
So
tuned.
stay
It will
tuned.
be there. That and my arm.
You know what's really cool about like this whole process is like it's not just you, like our mental health director and podcast co-host, or me, like the founder and all the things that I do, but we have this really amazing team.
You
And
really do.
it took me a minute and like I had this epiphany one day where I was like, I don't think we'd be here without our team. So I just want to give a huge shout out.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the book wouldn't be as beautiful and well read and well written as it
I
as
mean,
it
like the
is.
first and foremost, I want to just acknowledge my medication for ADHD because
Yes.
that that really helped me become a better founder, a better leader, a more productive human, more
Hmm.
organized person. But, Patricia, she's our project manager. She's also shared her story with us. She keeps everything organized. And we have Catherine, who's our editor and like very, very diligent and amazing and patient. She goes back and
Hmm.
forth with each of the authors multiple times to make sure their story is the best version that it can be. And we have Ruth, who I've been working with Ruth for a very long time, but she's been a
Hmm.
huge integral part in being our graphic designer and like not just for the books, but everything we do, our website and whatnot. And she's
Since
brought
the very beginning.
yeah, she's brought everything to life. So that's really important. And also just shout out to Michelle, our podcast manager, because
Yes.
she makes this go. And reflecting, I was like, they're not staff, they're all contractors, but like we have such a solid team.
Yeah.
And
We really do.
I just want to say, like, I acknowledge that, you know, in together we heal, together we grow, but our team, they all have a vested interest. Everyone cares about the mission and the goal. It's to help people strengthen their resilience muscle, right? And it shows and it shows that they care. And also, neuroscience, science of the brain, you know, states that sharing our stories essentially will help us be more resilient. And what's cool is that Catherine, our editor, actually has a background in social work, and Alana, our
Hmm.
mental health director, my sister, our co-host, same
Hmm.
with you.
I'm
And
also a social worker. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. I think it's just really cool. There's lots of really beautiful synergies there. And yeah, and so like the book is out, Resilient AF, Stories of Resilience, Volume 2. And right now, we're getting ready. I'm currently in New York. Well, recording this, you're watching the video, it's in my office. But like when you're listening to this,
Yes.
I land in New York today, the 21st, and we are here for the week. And if you are in New York, we are going to be on a billboard in Times Square on Saturday, the 25th.
Bananas.
Bananas. This shit is bananas.
It's very bananas.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, Sunday we're hosting a brunch. We're celebrating all of our authors. And I don't want to leave anyone out. This is the first time we're doing a launch of this magnitude. And so we have people flying in from all over. I have all of our authors from all three books going up on the billboard. And so we have people coming in from Dubai, Spain, all over North America. So super honored for everyone, who's come to New York. So if you're in New York and you're listening to this and you want to like hang out and see, where we're at, message us on Instagram, Global Resilience Community, and we'll let you know the location of our billboard, or you can just follow along my personal Instagram, Blair from Blairland, or Global Resilience Community. We're going to be documenting our entire trip because this is a
Hmm.
really, really big deal. Like, this is our third book. We have two more we're going to be working on. One more coming out at the end of the year, which is the tattoo book. Another one coming out in January 2026, and they're already starting to fill up.
Yeah.
And so it's just
Sorry.
crazy. What are you laughing at?
Yeah. I'm just thinking of something completely off topic,
Okay,
but I'd
let's
be
go there. Let's
remiss. I'd
let's
be
side
so
quest.
remiss. I was thinking about the last time we were in New York together.
Oh gosh, tell me about it because I probably don't
Okay.
remember.
Oh, yeah, you do. It was
Oh, yes, I do.
2013
When
and
is it? When?
2013.
Okay.
I think it was the very first Gov Ball music festival on, I think, Randall's Island, Randall's, whatever. It was on an island. I don't know if it was like a real island
We
or like
went
a New
to a
York
music
version.
festival in New York.
Yes. gumball. And we bought this package with the hotel. It was a very nice, fancy hotel. And the first day of the music festival,
Oh my God.
it was raining so hard. Blair and I were not prepared. So I
Alana, it
think
was
we,
like a hurricane. It was like the residual of a hurricane from down south.
something like that.
No, no, it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, okay. But Blair and I didn't like come prepared. So we went and bought matching rain boots. And then the music festival
And ponchos.
and ponchos was so muddy and like so rainy that the first day got canceled right after I think of Monsters and Men, who I really wanted to see, so I was selfishly like fine with it. And then like instead of going out, Blair and I in true form went back to the hotel. We're
Covered
full
in
of
mud.
mud, covered in
Covered. Like
mud.
there was mud up to our knees in some parts of that festival. Like some stages had mud up to your knees.
Yeah, it was wild. And then we showered and it was like 5, maybe 6 p.m. and watched like Ghost Hunters and went to bed.
Why do you remember this?
I don't know. I have a weird memory. But then, yeah, the next day it was like the mud apocalypse. You could see all these lost shoes everywhere. It was just a very funny memory that popped in that I had to share. So thank you
Well,
for engaging with this.
that was a great side quest. Luckily, this time it's January and we're not going to a music festival. We're going to mostly be in Times Square, but maybe there'll be a blizzard. Who knows? I mean, no dull moments.
No dull moments. Luckily, we're Canadian and can handle that.
So, I mean, what's actually really cool though, and like I'll have more details on this eventually. Today is not the day, but now that we've been collecting stories since 2019 for our last podcast, this podcast, all three of our books, what's really neat is now we have all this, we have information. We're collecting this information. What are
Hmm.
people's challenges? How did they get through it? What is their advice? And just from like quick summary and like, using my assistant named ChatGPT, I put some of this information into ChatGPT. And what I really learned was that there's some common threads. And the
Mm,
way our stories are laid out is that people share what their challenge is, they tell us their story, and then they share advice. And the advice is usually on the page bumped out so it's a call to action where you can actually just look at the advice. And there's a common theme. And what's really cool is that some of the themes that stand out the most is going through a challenging time. What helped them get through it is getting support
mm,
from maybe it's community mental health experts, state of mind. They hit a rock bottom and they shift the way they think. And there's a common thread of spirituality, a higher power.
mm.
And so I think that's really cool. So maybe you'll never read our books. Maybe you've just, gone to Amazon and bought one. Maybe you go to our website because we do believe every story deserves to get told. The stories from the first two books are on our website, theglobalresilienceproject.com, and soon all the stories from this book will be up. And so you can read the stories and read the advice. But it's really cool to see that there's this common thread where, you know, how people get through their challenging times starts to get categorized together. And
It
so
shows the commonalities.
yeah, so if you are going through something challenging and you just don't know how you're going to get through it, take some of this away. Have you reached out for help? Do you have help? Is it, within the community or mental health resources or support? Do you have currently a belief in a level of spirituality, something out there? Doesn't have to necessarily be religion,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't have to be God or whatever you determine God to be, but whoever might be, maybe it's source or spirit. And maybe it's just time you change the way you think because you've hit a rock bottom and what you've been doing isn't working. And you don't have to do any of this alone. But I think it's really interesting because, as someone who's gone through lots of trauma, and I'm not talking about like just like all the grief, but I had an abusive partner before I met my current husband, and I fled. And he lived with addiction and he was verbally abusive and he put his hands on me and I left. And I was homeless for 3 weeks. I was couch surfing and that was really scary. Like I've been through stuff. I've had other situations happen in business and in life And
Mhm.
then navigating extreme loss and trauma, my husband almost dying, and like we suffered a miscarriage, and our parents dying in the same year, my father-in-law dying right after the miscarriage before mom died. you know I can see how, when I felt like I was stuck, how actually all of those things eventually played into my healing. What about you?
Yeah, that's yeah, I mean, my like struggles have been, while there's similarities, they're also very they're different in some ways, and I'm not getting into them right now, but it is the new year, and in the past I've been thinking about like, hey, like what's worked for me and what hasn't worked. And I haven't shared a story yet. I mean, I am going to for skin deep tattoos, but I've been I refound my journal last week before the new year. I didn't want to start on January 1st because that feels very cliche. So I started December 27th. Um, but using that as a process and an outlet, like, I obviously, I have a therapist too, that I've been going to for 7 years. But aside from that, finding different tools to kind of help you through these difficult times. And these are tools that you might use for a bit in one season of life, then you might drop them and then come back to. And it's just having this openness of welcoming whatever tool comes to you, whether it's movement, whether it's writing, whether it's therapy, whether it's whatever else that you choose to use, sharing your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's important. And what you actually just said about journaling, like I love journaling. Like I have a rule. I mean, my rule for me is like it's part of my morning routine, and I try to write at least 3 pages. And sometimes it just like I like to document my dreams and how I'm feeling, and I process things. And often I reflect on what how I'm feeling and what I can do to move through these feelings if they're not enjoyable.
Hmm.
And I do, like, I'm very big into goal setting, and I talk a lot about in my journals, like, kind of how I'm feeling and how am I going to get to feeling where I want to be or doing what I want to do. But sharing your story doesn't have to be like on a podcast like this or in a book. Like it can simply just be in a journal and processing. And it's really cool because I ran this workshop at a retreat, and shared a bit of our story, and I walked people through a guided writing exercise, which was, I'd say, like a writing meditation. And a lady came to me and she's like, Blair, I'm not a writer, but I can't stop writing. I'm like, you're a writer. She's like, I just can't stop writing. I've filled multiple notepads, like the hotel gives you notepads.
Yeah.
She's like, but I'm not a writer. I'm like, but you are a writer. We are all writers. What does that mean you're not a writer? Like you're a writer. And then I got a message from her a week after the retreat. She's like, Blair, I haven't stopped writing.
Wow.
And I think there's a lot of power in that, helping you, process. And there's lots of prompts out there, but picking up that pen and just
Stream of
letting the
consciousness.
words come out, right? And
Yeah.
maybe it's talking about, this is how I feel, this is where I feel it in my body, this is what I think, causes me to feel this way, whatever it might be. It's a first step in sharing your story, is acknowledging the story.
Hmm.
So, do you have anything else you want to add in about our launch week?
Just really excited to meet you in New York in a couple days from the day of this release. Nope, 3 days, 2 days, 2 days. I'm excited to see this all unfold.
Mhm.
I get like these pangs of excitement. I'm not someone who's like excitable. A lot of the time, I'm like pretty even keel until like certain spurts happen. And so I've just been thinking about over the past few weeks, like, wow, like how cool that our book is going to be and our authors are going to be on a billboard in Times Square, and how cool that people from all three books are coming together to meet, and that these people that we've been talking to online for years now, we get to meet in person. It's very exciting.
It's so exciting. And we discovered a restaurant that I'm making a reservation at called the Nokeria. Is that it? The
Yeah.
Nokeria?
Nokiria.
Like a gnocchi restaurant. And I love gnocchi. And they have like this gnocchi platter. And I like literally saw it and I started salivating. I'm like, okay, we gotta go. So
Hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
the Nokeria. So
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck yeah. We just like launched our third
Yeah,
book.
good for us.
I mean, high fives. I know you're not excitable, but be excited.
I am excited. I just don't express it. And whoops.
Yeah, this is where we're different as sisters.
Yeah. I'm an internal excitable person.
Excitable. I love
Yeah.
that. Anyways, to you out there listening, thanks for listening. Thanks for
Yeah.
tuning in to another episode. Thanks for buying our books. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for whatever you need to do to help us grow to strengthen 888 people, 88 million people's,
Hmm.
888 million people's resilience muscles. That's our goal. Our goal is to reach the millions, to help empower
Yeah.
them, to use the tools that we have to strengthen resilience muscles because we all have one. And if you want to be in our book, amazing. Like reach out. Let's talk. Let's see if your story is ready to be told, which, if you feel like it's ready, then we'll help tell it. And our book launches are in New York. They're all over the world. They're online, and we do a billboard to launch, and we do an event, and we got some cool stuff up our sleeves for 2025. And it's starting off with launching this book, Resilient A.F. Stories of Resilience, Volume 2. Thank you for tuning in to another episode.
Yeah.
Alana, any
Thank
final
you.
words?
Woohoo. That's me being excited.
Oh, Lanny. Um, Mom and Dad are proud of us. I know it.
Yeah,
Are you wearing your
they are.
necklace?
I had to take it off for a bath, but I was wearing it today.
Oh, she has a proud of you necklace.
But I don't want to ruin it. So it's one that I'm very diligent of anytime I
Yeah, proud of you.
get in water. Yeah.
Well, and you know what, everyone out there, we're proud of you too. So thank you for tuning in. Remember, we are that lighthouse in the storm. You don't have to go through the hard shit alone. We're here to walk with you, alongside you, in front of you as that lighthouse, that flashlight. And remember, you are resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.